This is Laura Vanderkam. I'm a mother of 5, an author, journalist, and speaker.
And this is Sarah Hart-Unger. I'm a mother of 3, a practicing physician, and blogger on the side. We are 2 working parents who love our careers and our families.
Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. Here we talk about how real women manage work, family, and time for fun. From figuring out childcare to mapping out long-term career goals, we want you to get the most out of life. Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. This is Laura. This is episode 181, which will be a listener mailbag episode, all listener questions, many of which came in over Instagram. If you are not already following us, please do Best of Both Worlds podcast over there. We post about every episode and occasionally send out the call for anything you might want to ask us, sort of ask us anything, although we may not answer everything, but you can ask. So Sarah is, we were happy she is able to record today. There was a bit of a concern that childcare situation was not, but your kids still aren't back at school, but in person, doing virtual, but it was unclear whether your nanny would be able to be there or not too, but you made it through, right?
Oh my God, I had a full-on spiral though. I just wanted to acknowledge those out there, especially in dual career situations with multiple young kids, that when you lose your reliable childcare, even very temporarily, or even if there's just some uncertainty about it, I almost can't think of much more stressful than that. Especially when you know there's work that is piled up that you need to do, but you like literally can't make a significant dent in it because you just can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a rough day. And so if that ever happens to you, know that it's okay to freak out because it's one of the hardest things we have to deal with. But the thing that did help me was continuing to keep repeating to myself, like, you know what? What's the worst thing that could happen right here? I could lose my job. And then multiple people are like, you probably won't lose your job.
Won't lose your job.
Even if you had to be out for a week or two, like because you didn't have childcare, like that doesn't, you have enough career capital at this point that that's not super likely. And there are usually some weird alternatives you can come up with. Like there's not usually the answer is not usually 0 options. There's almost always something if you throw enough resources and creativity and maybe money at a problem. And then finally, if you are in that kind of a predicament, it's okay to just completely do only essential things for a few days. I had to just go into my clinical inbox, sign off on prescriptions, answer urgent stuff. I canceled all the sort of non-urgent appointments and things and basically took PTO. But, I knew I could spend 20 minutes completely putting out fires, and that was better than nothing, even if that was just kind of cobbled together during episodes of Pinkalicious. So,
yes, working during Pinkalicious or Thomas the Train is a time-honored tradition for people dealing with, for instance, child sick days or caregiver sick days and such. You make it work one way or the other. Early morning, night after the kids go to bed, nap time, when you trade off with your partner, all that sort of thing. So we've got a lot of questions to get through. We'll see if we get through all of them, but go ahead and dive right in. Sarah, or both of us, I guess. Did you offer your nannies a raise when a second kid came into the picture?
Yes and no. I say yes because at least, especially back then when, our second kid came into the picture fairly soon after her nanny had started with us. I was pregnant with him when she came, so she kind of knew she was signing up for 2 kids. We did yearly raises in those days. And I say did them because at some point we hit kind of a little bit of a ceiling where then we just started adding other things like increased bonuses and increased vacation time, etc. I wouldn't say we added specifically because of the second kid, but we did increase compensation anyway. And I will say that, just like for a parent, sometimes it's helpful for a caregiver to have the toddler out of the house for part of it so they can focus on the other kid, especially if they're going to be doing some housework duties as well. So back then, when Annabelle was 3 and Cameron was 1, that was probably, one of the hardest parts of her job. I'd say harder than it is now, especially because for the most part, all 3 go to school for a significant portion of the day. But I had Annabelle in preschool at age 3, even if it was just for 4 or 5 hours, that really broke up the day, gave her time that she would just have with a newborn, time in part when that newborn or 1-year-old even would be napping. So just took the load off a little bit. So sometimes it doesn't, it's not an either or. Plus, particularly in non-COVID times, preschools had have benefits too. Something to consider that might make things easier for your caregiver if you're adding more than one kid.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like in general with any, I mean, employee in your work or at home as well. I mean, anytime someone's job responsibilities increase substantially, then a raise would probably be appropriate. In our case, we had always ma- wound up in a cycle where we were hiring new people like as I was pregnant with the next baby. So it was like, yeah, like you, they were signing on and negotiating with that in mind, knowing the number of children that would be involved in the job. And then currently we actually our nanny wanted to trim her hours a little bit over the past year, and that's been fine because Michael and I are both working at home right now and not traveling anywhere. And so and we'll see how that all pans out when the pandemic is over and people travel again, but for now it's been okay. Next question, how do you relax?
I like this question. And sometimes it's just fun to think about how one might relax. I would say my main mode of relaxing is reading. It is what I gravitate towards. Like if I'm free in the afternoons and all the kids are on screens, I will go on the couch with a book. It's great. I also relax by playing with my various planner stuff. It's just fun and relaxing for me. I'll play with like a hand lettering pen or something. Texting friends, of course, FaceTime. I'll often do that like while cooking dinner, but it's pretty relaxing. TV, I like TV, thoughtful TV, not like accidental TV. My husband and I are currently watching The Flight Attendant. I don't know if it's relaxing because it's a little bit gory and harrowing, but I don't know. Overall, the experience is relaxing. And then my like escapism relax is to, so you know how I have two Instagrams. Like I have the underscore shoebox and I have shoebox underscore plans. Shoebox underscore plans, all the things I follow are all planner accounts. Like that's it. Nobody else. So when I scroll that feed, it's just planner page, planner page, planner page, planner video. And I find that very relaxing. My other feed, I basically ignore.
Yeah, exactly. I have been slowly changing my Instagram feed to be like all renovated kitchens. And it's I mean they're very pretty. I like to look at them. So that's a way to relax. I actually will put in a good word here for puzzles. Doing jigsaw puzzles is something that takes very little. Well, I mean, reading, I mean, I feel like I'm dealing with words a lot during the day. So something about puzzles is very different part of the brain. And yet it's also relaxing. It's something I can do at night while I'm waiting for Henry to stop screaming, for instance. That's as he's trying to go to sleep. That's something I can do. Although I'm doing a puzzle right now that I feel was either thoughtlessly designed or like designed by sadists. I can't decide which one it is. So I have about 150 pieces left to go in this 1,000-piece puzzle. They're all night sky.
What is it?
It's a
What's
Star Wars thing. Okay, I have a child who suggested we do this puzzle together. And then said child disappeared, like stopped doing it. So I've now been doing it on my own. And I've got 150 pieces of black sky to get through.
Do you listen to podcasts or do something else while you puzzle, or do
I
you just
sometimes
puzzle?
do. Well, I will have like a craft beer while I'm doing it. I have listened to podcasts. I listened to, I think you on the Mom Hour the other day while I was doing my puzzle. That was a nice way to sort of relax in the evening. But yeah, and puzzles, you can come into it and come out. Like, this would even more so than like TV, because your TV, you're not going to watch like 8 minutes or 17 minutes. Like you're committed to either like the 22 minutes or 48 minutes of the show. Whereas a puzzle is variable of how much time you can put into it. So it's got that going for it as well.
That does sound relaxing. Although, yeah, I'm not very good at puzzles. I think it might stress me out, but sounds relaxing for you. I love that.
Yes, exactly. All right,
My
Sarah.
sister, as you might imagine, knits for
Oh,
relaxation,
yeah, yeah.
and, like, I'm sort of jealous of that, but then same thing. I know that if I did it, like, it would not be
You would
relaxing,
find it
so,
stressful,
yeah,
and that would
each their own.
defeat the entire point. Like you should definitely not choose something to relax that somebody else finds relaxing. Like, this is all you, right? All you. Postpartum style. We have a question about postpartum style. What are minimal hairstyles and face makeup? How not to look frumpy? I'm saying this as I texted Sarah before our recording session that have wet hair and no makeup, and so she should not be scared.
I'm not scared. It's not that scary.
It's a little
It's
scary.
fine. I feel like I'm usually the one with wet hair and no makeup, or at least, yeah, or like in my workout clothes, but I'm glad it's not me for once. It's good. Um, Postpartum style. I will say, I don't know the secret to like not looking frumpy, but I do feel like this is one time in your life you get permission to like buy some stuff for yourself, even if you know you're not going to be in that size for that long. Buy some new makeup, like whatever makes you feel better on reentry. We had Lauren Smith Birdie on our podcast way back in the day. I think she wrote the 5th trimester, and she has like a whole chapter on this. So she knows a lot more than we do, especially because she like worked for Vogue. But I'm giving you permission to like invest, splurge a little. This is the time. It doesn't have to be on like forever clothing because again, things are going to fluctuate. But I was going to say like go to a lovely makeup store and go to a makeup counter, but that might not be
Not
the
right
smartest
now.
right
Yeah.
now. There might be. I bet I haven't Googled this, but I bet there's online consultants that would be like thrilled to work with you over Zoom to do product recommendations, do tutorials. Not to mention the fact, all online. Not to mention the fact that like Instagram has approximately 1 billion makeup tutorials out there. So this is the time you're allowed, put that Sephora order together, go for it.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Yeah. No. And sometimes it's nice to just be like, okay, I do get to take a shower. Like even if I'm not going anywhere, it's okay to like dry my hair and put on makeup if it would make you feel better. And then getting clothes that do make you feel good right now. Like just ignore the part of your closet that doesn't work right now. If you're a different size, it's fine. Like probably you'll be there at some point, but right now just get some clothes that work for you right now. Like choose your power color. Remember that Lonnie Inlander told us, whatever your power color that looks really good on you. Like get some shirts in that color, roomy shirts. And then just rock that, and you can donate it once you're back to your normal size, but you can wear what fits you now and feel good about it.
Yep. Don't torture yourself.
Don't torture yourself. Not worth it at all. All right, best travel tips with kids once travel resumes. I always I go back to this when we had our guest. This is we can all do we've been at this so long that we have a guest for every single one of these questions. So Henley Vasquez was one of our early guests back in I think early 2018 talking about travel with kids. And of course, we're like, what is the best way to travel with toddlers? She's like, I wish there was an answer to that. And it was just like, yes, it sucks. It just does. Like there's nothing you can do to make it not suck. But that doesn't mean you have to stay home. Like you can just travel knowing that parts of it are going to be terrible because you still want to go see whatever that thing is. And you don't want to wait till all your children are over 5 years old. In which case, great. Like take the days as it come. There will be some parts that are awesome and there are some parts that are going to be terrible. And I think that's probably a very wise mindset.
Go in knowing that your experiencing self may not be happy.
Well,
but you're
not happy 100% of the time, right? Like you're going to have some good moments. You'll also have some bad moments, but the bad moments do not need to define the entire trip, right? Like we're in charge of the stories we tell ourselves about it. So, man up, take the trip when you're allowed to, like not right now.
Yeah. And I will say plug for going, get a place with a kitchen. Like an Airbnb is probably better than a hotel if you have a young kid. I've made that mistake enough times. I'm not going to make it again. And keep your plans pretty minimal. I think we took a couple trips where we'd like stack 3 things in a day with the toddler. Like that is not going to work unless one of those 3 things is a nap and the other one is like eat breakfast in your room. Because the energies, you're going to be expending so much energy just like trying to like keep the peace and keep the needs met and keep utter disasters from occurring, that you're not going to be able to fit in tons of stuff. Although I will say, again, the remembering self, some of our family's best and most favorite stories involve toddlers melting down in various ways, shapes, and forms on different trips we've taken. So it might be worth it for the memories.
For the memories alone. No, and they do grow up and then they become good travel companions. Like I've actually enjoyed traveling with my big kids. Like they're fun. And so, then you've got a travel companion who like you're still in charge. Like this is the fun, like they're fun to travel with in the sense that you can talk to them, you can do fun experiences together, but you are in charge in a way that you wouldn't be if you're traveling with another adult. So if that's something that appeals to you, like you get to make all the decisions, there's something to be said for that. So I'll throw that out there.
November of 2019 was like my first kid trip. I traveled with just Annabelle and it was amazing. And I can't wait to do it again someday.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I also like Sarah had a suggestion here she included, but you might want to build in some parent relaxation time maybe after the trip. So if for instance you're taking 6 children to Disney World, you should understand that probably grown-up fun is not really going to happen in the course of this experience. But maybe like you book a date night for the two of you a day after you return, and you can, look at your pictures and talk about your memories, and that will actually be fun. Whereas, waiting in line for Space Mountain with 6 children is not fun. So, but the kids are going to want to go on Space Mountain. So there we go. Tips for finding connections somewhere new when you move mid-pandemic. Like, is there an answer to that? Or we need to take a break. We'll think about that. We'll come back after our break. Hey, listeners. As many of you know, I will be moving soon. And as part of that, I am cleaning out my closet. That brings me to the topic of Poshmark. Poshmark is a free app where you can easily clean out your closet and sell items for cash. Just download the app using my referral code, BESTOFBOTH10, and you'll get $10 off your first purchase. There are tons of lightly used or even brand new items with tags on Poshmark, so you can shop for your next event or vacation. Shipping is so fast, and the app is so easy to use. It's also fun, because you get to practically shop for free with the money you make from sales. Listeners of Best of Both Worlds get $10 off your first purchase. Just enter the invite code BESTOFBOTH10 when you sign up. That's invite code BESTOFBOTH10. BESTOFBOTH 10. Hey, listeners. Is anything interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? If so, Betterhelp can help. Betterhelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can connect in a safe and private online environment and start communicating in under 48 hours. Send a message to your counselor anytime, and you'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without ever having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if that is needed. Anything you share is, of course, completely confidential. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/bestof. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bestof. All right, so the question was, can you make connections with new friends when you move in the middle of the pandemic?
I feel like this is a time that it might be like you don't have to worry about it right now, because I gotta say, like, that took it took the fire out from under me about doing that personally. I don't feel like I've really built up a tribe around here. We didn't move that far, so I'm still in touch with some of like my key, really just one, but whatever. One counts, old friends from Miami Beach. And then there's like work friends, but then there's this whole like online and Zoom world, which is obviously playing a lot greater role in all of our friend interactions now, at least for me. And those people don't need to be nearby. So I just kind of tabled it because really, I don't think Zoom is great for making new friends. I think Zoom is really, really fun if you know people really well. Like, as I mentioned, I do this, every other week. My college friends get together, and like all 6 of us usually Zoom at like 5 o'clock on Sundays, and it's lovely. And we weren't doing that pre-pandemic. So that like fulfills that kind of a need. I have to go to work sometimes, so I will see people there, and that is an opportunity for socializing. And I do feel like the online group chats that I am in, and there's like a couple of them, mostly with people I kind of know, either from various online things. They've been much more active this past year. So it's cool. Your friends don't have to be your neighbors in 2020 and 2021. And maybe when we come out of this, I think everyone's going to be so excited to do things in person, and probably like it'll be even more normal to walk up to the playground and be like, hey, where do your kids go to school? What are you up to? Because people are going to be so thirsty for that. So I would just give yourself a pass.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea. And I refer you also to our episode with Shasta Nelson. She was a guest this fall, and she's got a couple of great books. One's called Frientimacy, and another called Friendships Don't Just Happen. So you can kind of get what her drift is here. But just that any friendship is based on consistency of seeing each other and positivity in your interactions. And that's very hard to engineer right now. I mean, not the positivity. I mean, you can be positive all you want, but seeing people consistently is the hard part. But once we are seeing people in person more, some of this just naturally develops when you see the same parents at drop off every morning, or you're all at the same kid plays together, or you see each other at the playground, or your work colleagues that you see each other every day, people you might see at the gym because you take the same class, or if you go to worship services, the families you see there every week. Just see who you feel good about talking to when you start seeing them consistently, and then over time those can kind of be moved up the friendship ladder, to become more people who can be your real confidants.
We missed a question,
Oh,
Laura. I don't know if you missed it on purpose,
no.
but
Oh.
dinner table conversation ideas for 5-year-olds.
Sort of a funny question, like eat your peas. Like, I'm sorry, do you have a deeper conversation than that? Do you?
I don't know if it was one of our guests or some other podcast that I listened to, but somebody mentioned asking like, what's the best thing that happened today and what's the worst thing that happened today? And I do sometimes throw that one out there. And actually, I will say that, when you have kids, my kid's age, and you have like a very verbal toddler, it can be really, really funny to hear what that 2 or 3-year-old comes up with. So it's usually entertaining to ask almost anything around the table, because when it gets to Genevieve, it's going to be funny no matter what the topic is. But those are my two go-tos, because I feel like they're not too prying. They kind of like give them something to think about. The worst thing, they don't always have to tell me like truly the worst thing, but like I'll get kind of like, the gossip that way. Some kids said something bad in the chat or something. And the chat in particular, now the kids are in online school, you can ask about like, hey, anything happened in the online chat? And usually you'll get details,
Ooh,
or at least
I hadn't thought to ask that. Maybe I should. That's a we have a lot of people around the dinner table every night. I really am never able to successfully steer the conversation one way or another because everyone's like talking at the same time.
Genevieve goes, "You're erupting me. You're erupting."
I was talking. Be quiet. Why are you talking? Yes, this is it's just a lot of people. I mean, you've had a dinner party with this many people, it would be a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, it's even though we're having the same dinner party night after night, it's a lot of conversation. So I don't really successfully ever introduce topics. Maybe that's why I skipped that question.
And you're right. A lot of times ours is dominated by, I hate this dinner. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. She didn't eat it. She didn't eat her chicken. Why do I have to eat the chicken and she doesn't? She's eating the chicken. No,
exactly.
she didn't. Yes, the great stuff that goes on here. All right, Sarah, how do you budget your personal administration time? This listener wants to do so many optional organizational things like home improvement, photo organization, but how do you select what? Do you schedule it out for the year?
No, not
Nope.
really. I might, if there's some project that's nagging me, I might put it like in a quintile goals, like, instead of quarter, like, okay, I'm going to organize the garage or donate all the clothes. You guys know I am doing the organized 365 100-day program right now. So I am trying to declutter and organize a little bit, but you can only do so much. And I do a lot. I do like a lot. And so one of the things I don't really do is spend almost any time thinking about my home decor, my furniture, like in-depth cleaning rituals. Like I just don't care. Our house looks like a mixture of like IKEA warehouses and like, I don't even know. It's just, it doesn't take up brain space. It doesn't cost money. And it makes me, it doesn't detract from my happiness not to think about those things. So I just usually don't. I do make a photo album every year, and that's enough for me for photo organization. Like that's all I feel like I need to do.
Yeah, I think this listener may have a different impression of our lives than is probably reality. I kept putting organized bins and mudroom on like my list for weeks, and then I'm like, pretty much find everything, and the occasional extra 5 minutes it takes to find stuff is less than it would take to organize all the stuff. So no harm, no foul. I guess we'll just move, which we will. I did have to build in time for the home renovation. That is actually a much more time consuming process. We are deep in the planning part of it right now. I do not recommend this at all for most people. I actually scaled back some work things, knowing that that was the time that would then be devoted to this. And I'm just saying, this is one of my big priorities for the year, to get us that house renovated, to get us moved out of this house in there, get this house sold. It's a top thing for the year, so everything else can be less. And I'm definitely not saying that anyone else should do that, but that sort of has
You
made
didn't
sense.
scale back. You're like, have a book coming
Yeah,
out.
I know, but it's honestly, I mean, having only 2 podcasts, Sarah, has been I feel like so on top of things. I don't know. It's almost scary. I'm like, what was I doing? I don't know. Anyway, that's
We actually got another question that for you, Laura, specifically. Do you have it was something like, renovating a house is a really big project. Like, do you have some sort of organizational, like, do you have a spreadsheet? Like, how are you breaking that giant project up into like manageable chunks?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of people working on it. So we have a general contractor, for instance, and that's his job, is to organize all of this. And obviously you pay for that. Whereas if I was perhaps working with all the subcontractors individually, it might be cheaper, but I don't really think so, because then I wouldn't know what I was negotiating. Like so I would put a big thumbs up for enlisting expert help if you have a big enough project this way. We have timelines. I have, rough sense of when things are happening. The week after we're recording this, I actually have like 4 showroom visits to get everything chosen. And they're very much like, you need to choose this week if we're going to stay on the timeline. So I'm trying to get that all done. But it's like anything else, a project with lots of moving parts, that you have a list, you know roughly what each thing needs to get done at any given point. It's the same as writing a book, I guess, is what I would say, which I also then have timelines for things and people working on it. And yeah, that's how I roll.
Do you tend to use like a giant Excel doc, or like how do you track these time? Well, this is more, we're getting into like best laid plans territory,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I
of
have a
course I'm obsessed.
calendar. I put any date that I need to, and I also have a sort of a general sense of when things need to happen. Like, I'm looking forward, like I have my weekly planning, and I look forward and I say, oh yeah, this is coming up. Let me just circle back with everyone and make sure that we're on top of things. So if, the level of detail here, that somebody from the architecture firm needs to make a presentation to the Historic Planning Commission, like the plans need to be in 10 days before that, so that they can review it. But again, there are other people doing this too. Like, I am not the only person who's got an eye on these timelines. I'm not saying it won't be a long, complicated process. It will, but yeah, get expert help, and then write down the dates, and keep reviewing the dates, and thinking what needs to happen for this to happen, what needs to happen for this to happen.
That makes sense. Focusing on the next step, kind of having a holistic overall picture. And I think when it comes to things like books, you can rely on your kind of intuition and experience for that part, because you've done it.
Although to a degree, I mean, yeah, I sort of know how the timeline would go, but for Tranquility by Tuesday, I have a huge time diary study going. I have the pilot running now, and then I have the real version of it running in the spring. But again, I have a professional researcher who is assisting me, and so partly she is on top of that too. Like, she's figuring out and suggesting things, and like has the timeline running as well. So I am watching that too, but I'm also relying on people whose expertise is in this to keep some of the trains going on time as well.
Ooh, I'm extra excited for this book now. Yay. Okay. Question 8. Which kids' toy? Well, we did a gift episode recently, but still.
All right. Which
I need
kid's
to
toy
resume
is biggest bang for the buck, right? Is that?
Yeah.
So you're going to say Magnetiles again, right? You're always the.
And can't go wrong with the Magnetiles. They never get old. They get played with for many, many years if you have many, many kids. But I was going to also say the play food sets from IKEA. If you're talking bang for your buck, I think those things are like $5, and we had a set go through all 3 kids. So, wow. And I do like those calico critters, once again, because they seem to last. They can be kind of played with at multiple levels. And again, it's like a toy that I watched go through both Annabelle and Genevieve. I'm sad to say Cameron was boringly gender normative in this regard and did not express much interest in the Calico Critters, but it kind of went straight through from Annabelle to Genevieve. So a lot of years of play with those little things.
Yeah, I would say blocks are definitely things that can get used again and again. I think you mentioned Duplos, which even bigger kids will sometimes be willing to do stuff with the Duplos because you can build big towers quickly. So it's the kind of thing that can entertain you for a while. And then you can incorporate other things into it too, like make marble runs out of Duplos, or with blocks, do things with Matchbox cars with your blocks. Big cardboard boxes. Honestly, like if you ever, order an appliance or something, definitely keep that box because the kids will play with it forever. Honestly, the biggest hour bang for the buck, is stuff like the Kindles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Because they will play with them for hours, and they're, not that expensive. As Amazon tends to have pretty good deals on them around the holidays, and they keep getting better and better in terms of their processing capability. So I know that that's probably not the answer that this listener was looking for, but our kids all have devices, and they spend time on it, and it's a high bang for the buck in terms of hours spent on any of these devices.
It's very true. I don't know if it fits under the category of toys, but close enough.
All right, Sarah, how do you keep your house clean?
Well, when it is safe to do so, we hire it out. So I don't really clean. Our nanny does help with a lot of the day-to-day cleaning. I know there's like interest in like a cleaning schedule. And like I've looked at some of those because the planner in me thinks that's kind of cool. But then like if it ever came to actually like executing one, there is literally no way. Again, like this podcast wouldn't exist if I was spending time on my cleaning schedule. So aren't you glad this podcast? I'm probably preaching to like the wrong choir here. But anyway, someone did ask the question. So there you go. We do straighten up, obviously, as things go. Maybe Laura doesn't. I'm curious about this. I mean, I've been in her house. It was very clean, but she knew I was coming. So like, I do feel like I need to pick up the toys off the floor, like before going to bed, or else I'm kind of stressed about it. That is also because we don't have a basement. It's like not a thing here. So that's like our main room, like where we eat and everything. And it would just be like toys everywhere. But I don't really like clean that much unless something looks terrible. I either have other people clean or just let it not be that clean until it really needs it.
Yeah, we have the cleaning service come every other week. Curiously, that was always deemed essential around here. They come wearing masks. We all go hide in the basement while they're here. And then come out. The one thing we've started doing is doing like a 10 or 15 minute cleaning blitz. Like, you have 4 kids, like if they're each putting 15 minutes into it, that's like an hour of cleaning. So, just saying, okay, we're all doing this, like basement will be picked up in the equivalent of an hour of cleaning time if everyone puts 15 minutes into it. Or, all go pick up your room. Only one child's room ever gets that messy. It's a kind of a long story. So that's, and then occasionally I'll find like some spot that's just driving me crazy. So it turns out that Alex was not able to easily put his toothpaste on his toothbrush. So he came up with an ingenious solution where he'd put the toothpaste on the counter and then dip his toothbrush in it.
Resourceful.
Resourceful. Oh my Lord, when I went in that bathroom. So that, he and I together with our paper towels cleaned it all up. But yes.
And then did you do a little tutorial on
like, yeah, they were just like, I can help you with this until we work on our motor skills. I'm glad he was still brushing. I mean, at least.
That's true. Give him some credit.
Yeah, he could have just not. I probably wouldn't have noticed for a while. All right, Sarah, how do you maintain a relationship with your husband with his long and different hours?
I don't know. We just fit it all in the cracks, I guess. Yeah, there are definitely some stretches if he's working a lot where I just feel kind of by myself, but they're not forever. He gets weekends off every once in a while. He has some nights that aren't bad. Hey, we got to spend all of our COVID quarantine together. So that was lovely. Great for our marriage. No, I'm just kidding. It was fine. We're not really doing date nights right now, but therefore we'll try to take advantage. If all 3 kids are occupied with some toy or screen and we're making dinner, we'll try to talk to each other and just, I mean, I don't feel like I have to try that hard, which is probably says something good about our marriage. Like I want to hang out with him. So I guess I feel very lucky in that way, but it works out. It works out well. And when we have downtime, like, we'll watch movies and hang out and just try to stay close. And every once in a while, when the stars align and we get our nanny to take the kids for a night or two, then that's wonderful as well. One of our children has started to kind of rebel against this, but that child might be ready for some friend sleepovers while the other.
Yes, exactly. Do something to make this keep going. Yeah, I don't think I really have a great answer for this. Partly because, we don't even get the time after kids go to bed because some of our children definitely stay up later than me now that I'm often waking up with the baby very early. So you just, I don't know, take advantage of whatever time you have. Baby's napping on the weekend, try to hang out, that kind of thing. And eventually they'll all be back in school and maybe he'll still be working at home. We'll see. Could happen. That'd be fun.
Have some day dates.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Bonus question. Do you know your Enneagram number?
I do know him. I've taken a couple quizzes. Don't know that much about Enneagram other than the couple quizzes I took. And I always get a 3, although I always almost get a 1. And people often think I'm a 1, but I'm like, no, I think 3 actually fits me. I wish I was 1. 1s are kind of like nicer. 3s are a little.
It's a 3. I don't even know. What does that mean?
I think it's like achiever, or again, not an Enneagram expert, but I always felt like the ones that like want to succeed at all costs or something, which kind of like, I don't really feel like I want to do that. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I do like putting a lot of things on my plate and like doing a lot of things, and I like positive feedback. So,
who doesn't? Like, is there an Enneagram type that likes negative feedback? Like, what on earth? Like, this doesn't even make sense.
Well, a 1 is perfectionist, and I'm not actually a perfectionist, which is something people sometimes think that I am or something, but nope.
I don't know. Is there an Enneagram type
That's why we're good at this podcast together, because we're just like,
is there an Enneagram type for people who are not like into Enneagram types? I wonder if what that would immediately classify you as.
Like the questioner or rebel equivalent of Enneagram. Enneagram experts, will you help type Laura?
Tell me what I am. What is that? You hear me half an hour every week. You could probably type me pretty quick, I'm sure, if there is a type. We'll all find out. We'll see. All right. Love of the week. You are on this podcast. We were worried you might not be.
My love of the week is having our nanny and just generally childcare back and knowing that it's all good for the first time in like 3 weeks. So yay. No, that's really an excellent thing to have. Now I'm trying to think, what is my, Pendleton Blankets. It's been really chilly here. And I got one this summer. I don't know why I ordered it in the summer. Maybe it was on sale. And I also got Michael, one that he can sort of have like in his office or whatever. It's a very cute one, but they're nice. They're warm, toasty. So as it's chilly in Pennsylvania this time of year, it's always nice to have a blanket. If we ever wind up sitting out on the back porch relaxing, we can bring our blankets out there and make the back porch usable even in January. Well, this has been Best of Both Worlds. We've been doing the listener mailbag this week with your questions from Instagram. Be sure to follow us there, Best of Both Worlds podcast. And we will be back next week with more on making work and life fit together.
Thanks for listening. You can find me, Sarah, at theshoebox.com or at @the_shoebox on Instagram.
And you can find me, Laura, at lauravanderkam.com. This has been the Best of Both Worlds podcast. Please join us next time for more on making work and life work together.